You know that feeling when you just want to get in your car and drive for the sake of driving? You don't have to go anywhere, you don't need a GPS, and you don't have an appointment to keep. You just want to drive. That's the best way I can summarize the feeling of playing Art of Rally. Sure, this is still a racing game. You have a timer running, a starting line, and a finish line, but at no point did I feel like the game was rushing me. I was just following the road and enjoying the journey, whatever it took me. I was driving as fast as I could, of course, but still enjoying the ride. And when you combine that with its dreamlike aesthetic, you get a rally game that delivers an oddly satisfying experience. And as the name suggests, this game is all about rally. It draws heavy inspiration from the golden era of the sport, spanning from the 60s to the 90s, but with a special focus on Group B. And I could certainly write a few paragraphs to explain what Group B was, but I think this is one of those cases where an image, and in this specific case a video with sound, is worth more than 1,000 words. So before we dive into Art of Rally, let's take a quick look at what made that era so legendary. But don't expect that real-life aggressiveness and grittiness here in Art of Rally. This game, rightfully so, doesn't aim for realism. And since I started by mentioning the feeling of driving just for the sake of it, let me expand on that point a bit more. Another thing that helps with the immersion with the focus on just following the road is the fact that there's no minimap or suggested racing line to guide you. You have to pay attention to the track. And at no point will the game's UI tell you your position during the race. You drive alone in each stage, without instant feedback from other cars or even time splits. You only find out if you did well or poorly after completing that race. And if there's no minimap or any way to know how well you're doing, the best thing you can do is forget about everything else and focus on the track. It all combines to make you live moment to moment, focusing on surviving the next corner and then the next one. But this also has a downside since you're never sure how well you're doing. This creates a unique tension where each corner becomes a mini challenge in itself, and the satisfaction of finishing without major mistakes is really great, even if you don't know your exact position. On the other hand, it can be frustrating. Since there's no feedback on your time during that stage, you don't know if that one mistake on the fourth corner was enough to cost you the win you desperately needed. You have to wait until the end of the event to find out if you need to restart. And of course, when it comes to atmosphere, the camera is always an important aspect, and in Art of Rally, we have a very peculiar one. Instead of a more traditional chase cam, the view is much more distant, almost as if it's being filmed from a helicopter, which gives the game a somewhat cinematic feel. It's almost like you're watching a replay, but it's all happening live and you're in control. This camera serves to further accentuate the game's whole vibe. It's as if this helicopter view invites us to be more observant, to truly appreciate the journey of each race, reinforcing that just driving for the sake of it feeling I mentioned at the beginning, rather than being trapped in the intensity of a first-person view. And speaking of vibe, the atmosphere in Art of Rally is one of its standout features. From the sunny days of the Finnish summer, through the cozy Japanese spring, the Mediterranean tones of Italy, and the icy blizzards of Norway, the vistas are always stunning. On the audio front, the highlight is the marvelous soundtrack, which does a great job of complementing the retro style of the graphics and the golden age of Rally. The car sounds are on the simpler side. It doesn't detract from the game at all, but they could have used a bit more polish. Art of Rally's visual presentation is simple but very well executed, and its style perfectly represents all the cars and historic liveries you'd expect from each era. The visual style along with the soundtrack makes it fun both to chase the best times on each stage and to simply pick a random car and stage and just drive around. Now, Art of Rally definitely isn't a simulation game, but the handling model here demands a lot more attention than you might think at first glance. You need to be careful not to go off track, which will cost you a 5-second penalty, and the sooner you learn that the handbrake is your best friend in tight corners, the better. One issue for me is that the game doesn't do a great job of conveying the feeling of friction, of the tires making contact with the track through the controller. This sometimes leaves you with the feeling that the cars are almost floating or sliding more than they should. But it's very rewarding to keep playing and notice yourself getting more and more aggressive in corners and drifts, especially as you unlock increasingly powerful vehicles. Overall, the gameplay is great, with each car having distinct handling characteristics and noticeable jumps in power and grip between each category. Art of Rally can range from more arcade-like to almost a simcade experience thanks to assists like automatic transmission and ABS that can be tweaked or turned off. But don't be intimidated, this isn't a punishingly difficult game. On top of that, you can also adjust the AI difficulty, the damage level, and various driving assists. The tracks are basically divided into tarmac, snow, dirt, and gravel. And considering the visibility with that distant camera is great, once you get used to how the cars handle, the races become much more fun. And the single-player campaign will certainly do wonders to improve your skills. In Art of Rally, the career mode is divided into seasons, where you follow the golden age of rally from 1967 to 1996. You start with the tamer, more forgiving cars of Group 2, progressing all the way to the Group B machines, and finishing with the monsters of Groups S and A. The progression is really well done, starting you off with slower cars and moving you up season by season, giving you time to adapt to the more powerful engines and more challenging tracks. The order of the stages is random, so everyone will have a slightly different experience in the campaign. The stages vary in length, with the shorter ones taking less than 2 minutes and the longest ones nearly 5. You don't need to win every race, but you do need to finish on the podium of that rally. And it's in the single-player campaign that you experience the game's different weather conditions, with sun, fog, rain, and night. The tracks demand constant adaptation with fast corners, tight hairpins, and jumps, and you need to stay focused even on the straights because of the occasional bumps. Sometimes you get absolutely furious after a perfect run gets ruined by hitting a tree or spinning out right near the end. The problem is that the campaign's structure doesn't change, but the number of events keeps increasing, which quickly becomes quite repetitive. To break up this routine, some special events or unique challenges could have been included. However, the game somewhat makes up for this with the hunt for collectibles in free roam mode and the simple joy of unlocking and driving the different vehicles. And this isn't just some random channel complaining about the repetitiveness. You just have to look at how rare the trophy for completing the game actually is. With all that being said, Art of Rally offers an incredibly rewarding feeling once you get better at it. Seeing your car sliding sideways through corners, narrowly missing obstacles, and landing a massive jump at full speed without losing control, it all creates a unique sense of excitement during a 4-minute stage, even if you don't get the best time. It's worth playing, even if your goal isn't to finish the career mode. Oh, and I haven't even mentioned that there's a huge number of cars and liveries to unlock, on top of the fantastic soundtrack and beautiful vistas. Besides the single-player campaign, the game features daily and weekly challenges and online time attack leaderboards where players compete for the best times. The developers have already released free updates adding new cars in a new location, and there's also a paid DLC with stages set in the land down under. And speaking of cars, the number of models and classes is really good. The vehicles are unlicensed, but thanks to their visuals and naming scheme, it's pretty easy to figure out each model. For example, the RS200 is, well, the Ford RS200. The original is the Toyota Corolla AE86, and Le Cinq is the Renault 5 Turbo, and so on. The vehicles are really well represented, even without the official names. The models are faithful recreations of rally icons, from the 60s all the way to the monsters of Group B, the prototypes from the defunct Group S, and the legendary Group A sedans of the 90s. There are even vans and three-wheelers with different liveries that can be unlocked in the campaign. You just have to finish each season with at least one restart to spare. Instead of the lack of licenses being a problem, Art of Rally's creativity adds its own charm and fits perfectly with that dreamlike aesthetic. The designs are simplified but instantly recognizable to any rally fan. Art of Rally was well received, which is always great to see for an indie game. And beyond scores and awards, its most important achievement is proving that a racing game doesn't have to be about aggressive realism and frantic competition. In this ongoing race for pixels, ray tracing, and visual fidelity we live in, Art of Rally triumphs by carving out perhaps its very own niche. It doesn't try to compete with Dirt Rally or WRC. It offers a completely different and also complementary experience, and perhaps that's what makes it so memorable. Art of Rally isn't just a racing game, it's a stylized celebration of the golden era of rally that invites you to appreciate the journey. With its dreamlike aesthetic, rewarding gameplay, and a unique atmosphere that shies away from aggressive realism, it carves out its very own niche. It's proof that a racing game can be satisfying not because of the brutality of simulation, but because of the pure joy of driving around and exploring. Art of Rally delivers a truly oddly satisfying experience, making every corner and every jump feel worthwhile. Even with the repetitiveness that can creep into the career mode, the core experience of Art of Rally is so captivating that the game remains an easy recommendation, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the developer creates in the future. And if you've made it this far into the video, consider subscribing and leaving a like, it really helps the channel. Thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next video.